Welcome to 10 Minute Marks, episode number 29. Today we are going to do a various WWE and TNA rants and raves. I am Jeff.
And I'm Paul.
And I'm going to do that again because I totally went out of word.
Brought to you by PaintballToTheEnd.com.
Welcome to 10 Minute Marks, episode number 29. I am Jeff.
And I'm Paul.
And today we are going to do a special TNA and WWE rants and raves. We're going to point out some good and some bad about both organizations, what's going on with them both, and give our opinions, like always. Factually based opinions, only the best will do. And we are going to start off by letting Paul do a few rants and raves.
Right on. There's a few things I wanted to discuss. In the last episode, talked about how I loved the Raw ending with Orton RKOing Cena through the table and the crowd went nuts. A couple weeks ago, the Raw ending was the complete opposite. So TNA, you got a little breather there. They've been doing this whole Taker-Kane storyline and how Taker doesn't have, or he's losing it, quote unquote, like he's aging, you know, like CM Punk on SmackDown was kind of trashing him about it. But they had Bret Hart on there. It was actually the 900th episode of Raw, and they scheduled Bret Hart versus Taker for the main event, which Jeff's going to get into a little bit more of that, but why is Bret Hart scheduled in matches when he can't wrestle anymore? But anyway, basically NXT beat up Taker, and the lights kept going on and off during the whole thing. And Kane got involved, and for some odd reason, Bret Hart mysteriously disappeared from the segment. So, well, it was kind of a cluster F, because here you had Kane interfering after NXT. Then he's like, oh, I'm just going to watch NXT beat him up anyway. Okay, whatever. Do I like this storyline? I don't know. Taker and Kane's been done to death already. At the same time, I'm also intrigued by it because there's really no other storylines for me to really comment on or anything, which is really quite a paradox right now.
Especially for SmackDown.
Yeah, especially for SmackDown. I'm a little bit iffy on the whole Taker showing him that he's becoming weaker, losing his powers, I don't know, aging. Because here you have this larger-than-life character, which some may argue that they may not like the gimmick because it's very 1980s.
Right,
you know,
right.
Here you know, back in the days of Hogan, brother, you know, and Papa Shango and Ultimate Warrior, that kind of thing.
Right.
And Taker's kind of the last of that sort of gimmick of that era. And now you're painting him out that he's getting older. It kind of loses a little bit of the mystique, the whole he's powered by the darkness. But at the same time, can you avoid it?
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention was they've been kind of sprinkling in the possibility of a Jericho babyface turn. Like with the whole, how we were concerned that there was only going to be a 5-on-7 at SummerSlam, and Jericho's having second thoughts about bailing on them, and also he kind of told Michael Cole to shut up, and there was a hint of shut. I really wanted him to say shut the hell up, but he didn't do it. Also, when he was complaining to Michael Cole, who was doing that whole absent Raw general manager,
making Michael Cole even seem more like a robot.
Yeah, exactly.
Than he already does.
When he's reading it, of course, Jericho interrupts and goes, "I gotta savor the moment," and goes on about how he thanks the Raw GM for putting him back in the six-pack challenge. And of course, Michael Cole says, "Don't ever interrupt me again." And I almost wanted him to say, "Don't you ever interrupt me again." Because after all, this Raw GM keeps imitating other people's sayings, like with Vince, Triple H, Shawn.
Right.
So
I think it's Charlie Haas doing the whole imitation thing.
The whole Ring of Honor thing, that's just a cover.
Exactly.
I want him to turn babyface so bad.
They're going to come back with Shelton Benjamin and be the world's greatest GMs. Anyway.
I want Jericho to be a babyface so bad. It's not just because he's one of my heroes, but the crowd is starting to... they're booing him, but it's not like a nuclear heat sort of thing like with Vicky or with Edge used to be. They're chanting Y2J, but then he'll shut them down. Like, no, I'm the best at what I do, and you're all a bunch of parasites. But you can tell the crowd's like, we want the old Y2J back. It's getting to that time, and I think with the whole DVD coming out, I think they will. And of course, it kind of gives Miz a chance to step up, which I'm kind of iffy on. But, you know, if they give me Miz as the top heel and Jericho's babyface, put them in a program together.
Nice trade-off.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that would help WWE because he would learn from Jericho, who is the best at what he does. So, I think that's exciting, and I'm definitely going to bring that up if he does turn babyface.
I am going to go in a little bit of a completely different direction. A few weeks ago, right after Hardcore Justice and the whole effing show, they had an impact to me that was very, very good. Quite excellent. It didn't necessarily fix a lot of issues, but it did a lot of things during the show that I've been critical of. First thing is, you know, about a year and a half at Genesis when they had the Motor City Machine Guns fight for the X Division belt, they did their match of the year candidate. I mean, it was an awesome match at the pay-per-view, but it took them 3 weeks to get those two back on camera again. This time, right after Hardcore Justice, right after the whole effing show, right after the best of 5, when the Motor Machine Guns won the tag titles and retained them against Beer Money, the very next episode, they were back on TV. They weren't wrestling, but they were making a big deal out of the tag team belts. And I thought that was awesome. That's exactly what you need to do when you have, especially when you have 5 match of the year candidates right in a row. Oh, yeah. Bring them back on TV and keep that momentum going. At No Surrender, I think that's the name of the pay-per-view. Yeah. I've been out of the loop the past couple of weeks. Yeah. Forgive me. They revealed that the diva in question was indeed Tara, which is what everybody thought. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? Sometimes it's not bad to go the direction that everybody expects.
It's not about the outcome, it's the journey.
Right, exactly. And Paul went on that rant before. Yeah. I love the whole storyline of putting Angelina and Velvet back together, and apparently they're making the beautiful people faces. I thought that's great, and it's definitely a great way to do it. Yep. It took a few weeks to get it done. It was a very windy road and a very intriguing road to get it done. Mm-hmm. I didn't see the beautiful people getting back together and being faces. That's a nice result. It was unexpected. EV 2.0 versus Fortune. Yes. I don't mind that at all. I really don't. Because you're having pretty much Fortune, you got pretty much the young guys versus the veterans of EV 2.0. Yep. You got Ric Flair in charge of Fortune, the best mouthpiece in the business. Period, hands down, bar none. Still cutting excellent promos. Still getting it done. Woo! And you've got EV 2.0, which doesn't need to really, go out and cut great promos. They can just stand on their own record and go, this is what we stand for. Mark Madden on WrestleZone.com posted a little thing saying a lot of the employees are unhappy with the way EV 2.0 is getting pushed and the way they're carrying on with it instead of making it a one-night thing, and how their style was dangerous and yada, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Fart on them. Yeah. ECW is ECW. ECW gained its popularity for a reason. Yeah. And Dixie Carter's just trying to bring that back, and that's fine. At least Dixie Carter has the gonads to do it, whereas Vince McMahon didn't. The World Title Tournament. There's quite a few opinions in this. World Title Tournament, I don't have much of a problem with. I really liked the matches they had set up. I thought it was a lot of great matches. I didn't like the fact that no heels were in it, or no heels won. You get to No Surrender, and it's 4 faces facing each other. I didn't think that was right. There's no AJ. They brought Samoa Joe back a week after they started the tournament. which to me was wrong. They could have had Joe in there. He was top 8 when he got suspended. But the glaring omission was AJ Styles not being in the tournament, but yet you had 2 other members of Fortune in there, and they both got beat. I didn't think that was right. I thought AJ should have been in there. I thought Joe should have been in there. You know, I didn't mind putting Jay Lethal and Matt Morgan in there, but especially Jay Lethal because I thought he deserved it, but I think I would have much rather seen Pope versus AJ and have AJ get over on the Pope. I love the Pope, but dude, it's AJ.
Had to do it.
You know, you needed to have at least one heel in the No Surrender pay-per-view in that tournament. It just needed to be done. One other thing I really liked was after that Impact, I caught about the first 15 minutes of reaction. My DVR recorded it somehow. I don't know how, but it did. And I love the fact that Kurt Angle, I love this. It's awesome. And it really is simple, but it's awesome. Kurt Angle spelled out his frustration about not being able to go through the top 10, which I've professed in the past. I did not like that storyline. I didn't mind it until they put the retirement stipulation in there. Then you just killed it. You killed any. If you would have kept the retirement stipulation out, you could have had an Angle come up somewhere else, a storyline. Number 5 guy beats him. Okay, you got a little feud there. You know, if the number 5 guy beats him, you have a rematch. Then Angle wins, and then they go, no, wait, there's a rubber match because we're tied at 1-1. And then you go into a pay-per-view and you have Angle versus whoever number 5 is. You know, whether it be Joe or whether it be AJ or whoever. Or, you know, Matt Morgan, whoever's number 5. You know, just an example. You could have made something out of it. But with the retirement stipulation put in there, you've got to have them go through all 10 without losing. And that kills it.
No suspense.
No suspense. But I love the fact that he went through that on reaction right after that show. And he spelled out his frustration about it. And I can understand where he'd be frustrated. I would be too. But I love the fact that they didn't just bury it under the rug. Things like that, especially in TNA, have a history of being just swept under the rug and being forgotten about. And I love the fact that they brought it back up and they made a point about it.
And one of the things I love about that too, because in ECW, the old ECW, they wouldn't brush things under the rugs. They would either, Paul Heyman would publicly go out there and say, oh, I fired Sabu, as an example, like with that storyline back in the day, or like Raven coming out there and doing the crucifying Sandman thing, and then the next week he's like, people got offended by that, I apologize, and they didn't just kill it. They just said, hey, I apologize, and they addressed it. And then they would get rid of it. So it's kind of a cool way of TNA. That's a good lesson that TNA learned from that. I would not have minded the whole retirement stipulation thing, except, of course, they did it when he's at the bottom of the barrel, like he said. So you know he's going to win, so there's no suspense. The only thing, one way I could have liked it is if he had legitimately built his way to the top with no stipulations whatsoever, and you could do anything you wanted with that storyline. You know, finally he gets the belt again. You could probably span it out over 6 months to a year. Have him get the belt back. And then he could say, I think this will be my last title reign, and I'm going to hold on, I'm going to keep giving it all, and I'm going to beat everybody, and when I lose, I think that's going to be it. So you know the next time he's going to lose the belt, he'll lose it, but he's already at the top of the mountain, and it kind of gives you more room to work with as far as, you know, and you could say, oh, I will not, if I tap out ever, or if I get pinned ever, then I know it's over. So that way you could say, oh, DQ. He wins by DQ. That way he's still in the game. He's still not, you know, out of the storyline. That would be one way to make that work. But other than that, you know, the way they did it, it didn't leave, you left like a hole, just a small hole of possibilities. You know, so.